Hello, everyone, and I'd like to welcome you for the World Labyrinth Day Walk. Okay. Um, anyway, I would like to welcome you all for World Labyrinth Day. We are walking today for peace and in memory of our dear friend Mary. This was a practice that she felt very strongly about and believed that we as a community would benefit from walking the labyrinth. Her and Mother Claudia, I think, were very instrumental in having this and having this become a part of our community. We all miss Mary very much and had hoped that she would be with us today. As she is not, if anyone would like to share any memories of her or a funny story or a tearful story, we would love to hear it.
Our AV guy says we got to talk to the mic. Anyway, we've known Mary now, I guess, all the years we've been at St. Luke's, I think 11 years. But the thing that impressed me about her is how selfless she was, how caring. I think I said to the group the other day, she was the chaplain's chaplain. She knew what to say and how to say it whenever there was something that needed to be said. Great sense of humor. If any of you walked into her house, there was a little sign outside that said, "Dogs welcome, humans tolerated." She had an incredible sense of humor, a very kind, loving person. And we're all grieving, but we're rejoicing to have had her in our lives.
We had the good fortune of meeting Mary McIntyre the day she moved into Pine Brook. And we were buddies right from then on. We have so many memories I've heard that have been shared from Bear and BS, and that was wonderful. This is just a silly one, but it was so meaningful. A group of us went down to the Mandala Center in northeastern New Mexico for just a retreat. We went down on our own. There was the priest there, was a retired priest who'd moved to Camas to help his son in his automotive business. But he was wonderful. And he had taken over the Mandala Center down there and was managing it. So Mary and I and Claudia and Judy Hanley, we all hopped in Judy's car and drove down there. And it was out in the hillsides, very rural area. And Mary and I were the two who always got up early in the morning. And we would often find each other. One of us, we didn't know who'd get there first, but that was how we started our days, was walking the labyrinth. And so, and it was outside, and the lines were all made of individual stones. It was just beautiful. But we didn't know who'd get there first, but whoever got there first would walk, and like I would just sit and watch Mary, and then when she was done, she would sit and watch me, and we'd walk off together and start our day. So and then she gave me one year a little tiny silvery mandala with a little needle, heavy needle, and I can trace the path. So she's a dear friend, and she's at peace, and that's what matters. So thank you.
I don't think anybody's been ordained through this church who hasn't got to work with Mary. She was loving, compassionate, and really made you toe the mark. I mean, you were not going to be allowed to get away with half-assing it. But she was a great comfort and support, that I knew if I got stuck between Anne and Mary, I had someone to talk to. And that was really important because it wasn't the easiest road to ordination. I had a lot of side trips that took place. But to know that these women were with me really made a difference. And Nancy Conroe, and you mentioned Judy Handley. I mean, all these women, strong women, who showed us how to age, not only gracefully, but with integrity and intent, to be the elder, which I think a lot of us try to strive for as we get older, is to be seen as the elder. And there are a lot of moments with Mary, but one that really meant a lot to me and to her was when her dog died. I think it was Sally. And she came up to me and she said, I know this isn't really what we're supposed to do, but she knew I would do it anyway because we weren't supposed to do it. But would you pray for the soul of my pup? And so I did, and I loved it. It was so meaningful on so many levels. She'll be missed because she was always a nice touchstone.
Hi, my name is Lisa Murphy. I live in Provo, and I only had 2 very short acquaintances with Mary, collaborating for this event both last year and this year. And the one impression she left very, very strongly on me is effectiveness. She lived an incredibly committed and effective life. And that's why we're all here. And she really blazed a beautiful trail. And I really appreciate, too, what you talked about, the elders, because I can't help but notice that we are all in that final trimester of our lives. And if there's anything this world needs now, is it needs its elders. It needs its grandmothers and grandfathers to show these young people the way, because there's a lot of infighting going on around the world. And we need to reinstitute that council of grandmothers and grandfathers to lead the children. And it's a grandmother that created World Labyrinth Day. And the idea behind World Labyrinth Day is that everybody around the world walks at 1 o'clock in whatever their time zone is, to walk at 1 for peace. So that's a really big double entendre, as we walk as one, yet we're so many walkers at 1 for peace. So if you were to times that all around the world, and there are people all around the world walking today at 1 o'clock, you have a continuous walk for peace in the first Saturday of May, all around the world. So I'm so glad that you decided to come and be a part of this walk for peace today. So even though we have a group intention of walking for world peace today, which I think is more critical than ever, that doesn't mean that you can't walk with your own intention as well. Can I ask by a show of hands how many people have walked a labyrinth before? Okay, most everybody, so I'm preaching to the choir here. So we all know that there are different styles of labyrinths. The labyrinth that you see behind me is a Chartres-style labyrinth. The original is in Chartres Cathedral in Chartres, France, and it's 1,000 years old. There's another kind of it's a little bit more of a simple design. But this design you will see etched on walls, mostly in churches and monasteries, and you'll see it etched in caves and etched on rocks for 4,000 years in every region of this planet, of this globe. This is an eternal, sacred geometric sign. And it's a wonderful, it seems to hold a wholeness in that we are walking as each individuals, but we're walking in community. And we're walking on the earth, on this earthly design, but it puts us in touch with the divine. So as above, so below. It's a stillness. We're walking, and yet we're still. So we are a still point in a turning world. And because of that, it's a very profound feeling of wholeness that you get when you walk something like this. Not every walk will be the same. You don't have to walk with a personal intention, only if you want to. For a lot of years, I walked with no intention, no agenda, because I just wanted to be open to whatever the Lord had to give to me at any given moment. But sometimes I have walked with an intention. Come on in. Another thing that's very profound about this shape, I wanted to give this to all of you. So we're passing out finger labyrinths. So as you're waiting for your turn to walk, you can sit and do your finger labyrinth if you choose, and begin your own personal prayer and meditation in your seat with your own finger labyrinth. A fun way to do a finger labyrinth is to use your non-dominant hand. That kind of opens up a deeper, different part of your brain. A lot of people have a custom of going into the labyrinth with a prayer, with the intention of receiving an impression or an answer to their prayer or a directed thought or whatever. And then you meditate on that directive as you walk out. But again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. This is your walk. And I'm just going to give you a little tutorial about how to walk the labyrinth, because we will be running into each other. So let me give you a little tutorial. So we start here, and you can walk at any pace that you want. These are pretty narrow pathways. Now, to really walk this, you kind of have to walk like a model, like this. Don't worry about staying in the line. So, stay on the path, and your feet are going to walk on the purple. Don't worry about it. And then, when the person who has entered arrives at this spot, and I'll be here to direct you in when it's time. But when the walker arrives at this spot, then the next walker can come in. And then when the next walker arrives at this spot, then the next one will come in. And that will space us out nicely. But we will still have times in which somebody, you could just meet each other's eyes and have an unspoken agreement. Somebody can step aside and let another person pass. walking behind somebody who is slow and you want to go faster, a good way to pass that person is when a person comes to a 180-degree turn like this, and you're coming behind them, you can just have them turn. Okay? And then when you get to the center, my good husband Sean printed us up stickers, I Walk for Peace, and they're in a basket at the center. Please feel free to take a sticker or stickers if you would like. Mine. And I also have a poem to pass out. And creative and artistic experience. And I think poetry pairs very, very well for Labyrinth walking. So when everybody has a copy of this poem, we'll wait to read it. Then we can read it together. I want to ask, does anybody have a question? Diane, I can tell you do. Great question. And that is kind of where this poem is going to come in. And this is kind of the way life is. And Mary's teaching us all this week, is that the end is also the beginning. So we will begin right here, and we'll end right here. In a labyrinth. A labyrinth is not a maze. In a maze, there are false starts and surprise endings, and you can get lost in a maze. You can't get lost in a labyrinth. There's one path to center. And there's a lot of twisty turns, just the way life is. Just stay on the path, and you will feel lost. And at one point, you may also feel like it's not working. Just stay on the path, and you will come to center. If you want to stand into the center and have a prayer or a hug or hold hands, the center is a really beautiful place to spend a moment of reflection. When Chartres Labyrinth was first laid down in Chartres Cathedral 1,000 years ago, it was called Jerusalem. The medieval people called it Jerusalem because people wanted to make a pilgrimage to Jerusalem within their lifetime, but not everybody can do that. So this is symbolic of a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. It's a symbolic pilgrimage. I also think it's a symbolic pilgrimage to your own self, to your own heart. And another beautiful wholeness and paradox that a labyrinth carries is it puts you in touch with something that people have done for thousands and thousands of years. And you are joining that group of pilgrims as you walk today. You're also doing the labyrinth a favor because to keep the labyrinth alive, it needs to be walked. So the labyrinth is not only here for you, you are not only not here for the labyrinth, but the labyrinth is here for you as well. And it really is a beautiful collaboration of space and time and culture and people and spirit and religion. I have a passion for it. I think that all things are contained in this beautiful shape. And I'm so glad you all came. Any other questions? Yes. That's a great question. She asked, can you tell me your name? Were you here last year? Wendy asked if the depth of the experience is deeper walking rather than just doing the finger labyrinth. That all comes from within. Again, this is your walk. It'll be different from everybody. Not all walks are the same for everybody or even for the same person. There's been times when I've walked the labyrinth and I'm like, oh, okay, put in the time, did my walk, And then there's other times where I'm just so moved because something has come to me in the walk. Labyrinth finger walking became a thing during the pandemic because people couldn't get out and walk a labyrinth, but people still wanted to experience the labyrinth. And so people started doing finger labyrinths, and everybody was kind of shocked to find out what a profound experience even just walking the finger labyrinth is, because it really is a matter whether you're walking on your feet or you're walking with your fingers. You're quieting down your brain. Breathing. Something happens. Whether you're walking with your fingers or walking with your feet. And a lot of people, like my mother is on a mobility scooter, so she walks a finger labyrinth because she can no longer walk with her feet. So it was a great question. Thank you for asking. Let's read this poem together. This is by T.S. Eliot. He's like my poet of the year this year. I think that T.S. Eliot captures what the life path is about and the great paradox that it is, and how everything is everywhere all at once. Old men ought to be explorers. Here and there does not matter. We must be still and still moving into another intensity for a further union, a deeper communion. In the end is my beginning. What we call the beginning is often the end, and to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. We shall not cease exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. So I'm going to start some music. Come as you feel called. We don't have to go in any kind of an order. I'm going to sit right here and just come, and I will signal you when it's okay for another person to come in. Last year we had some people just kind of lining up and waiting to go in. Oh, thank you for asking. It would be nice for the labyrinth if the shoes were off because it does help to keep it cleaner. I'm in a boot because I'm on a broken foot, so I do have my shoes on. But if I weren't dealing with this, I would so have my shoes off. And also, I enjoy walking without shoes, whether inside or outside, because I feel like your feet pick up the energy of the earth, and it is a beautiful exchange from the soles of your feet and the energy of the earth. Okay, so anything else before we start? Okay. Would anybody like to share any thoughts or experiences?
This was the first time that I walked the labyrinth with music and with a number of people doing it at the same time. And it kind of made me feel like we were all in the dance of life together. And it was like, we really are all one.
That was beautiful. I kind of felt like that music was a little bit rocking, like we were all on a ship together. Anybody else?
As you can probably guess, since I'm the husband of this great woman, that it's not the first time I walked a labyrinth. It's part of my journey, but what always impresses me is how you seem to be on a long road where it's a long stride and things going, and all of a sudden you hit turn, 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 turn. And it's sort of a bit like life. That, you know, you've got long stretches in your life where everything's cool, and all of a sudden comes from the left, comes from the right, you're turning. And many times I was wondering, am I on the right path? Am I going to get to the center? It seemed like it always elusive. I got close and then it took me away again. And so, you know, looking at it, that brings me back to just hanging in the road, just hanging in there. You never know, you know, sometimes you think, is this ever going to end? And when you've got trials, but Labyrinth teaches you, just hang in there, just stay on the road and you'll get there. And I keep saying this every time I do it, but it always impresses me.
It's infinitely walkable. Doesn't matter how many times you walk it, it's new every time.
I have to say, with yours, I kept thinking, because this was the most narrow I've ever walked on, or with so many people. And I kept thinking, did I get off on the wrong path? And I didn't. And even if you do, you find your path again. But that kept going. I'm on the right path. I'd look up and I saw Greg and I'm like, okay, he's on the same path. He was the one in front of me. And it also felt like it took forever to get to the center and a very short time to get out. But I don't think I changed my pace. And I think it's the anticipation of being in the heart. And then as you leave, you could flow.
I've walked this labyrinth since the day it first came into St. Luke's. We helped purchase it with Claudia, and I have never seen this many people on it at one time. And it was so therapeutic and soothing to be doing it all together in our sadness and joy. Thank you.